Good morning, folks, and may I wish you a very happy Monday as we get up and get started on a brand new week. And, thank God for His providence. Thank God for His seeing us through and allowing us to rest over the night and be able to get up and get another week started for His glory. Remember that always, for His glory. Sometimes, and y'all have heard me say this before, Monday mornings are not something that we look forward to a whole lot, but we can thank God that we make it to them. And we can think to ourselves, Lord, what can I do for your glory as we begin this new week? If you look at the calendar, the week starts on Sunday. And that might be true as far as the calendar is concerned. Well, let's be honest. We all think of Monday as the start of the week. But what can we do today? What can we do as we get started on this day? What can we do as we go through this week for God's glory? So I hope and pray that will be our attitude instead of waking up and saying, oh, it's another Monday. Thank God for allowing us to get up. Thank God for allowing us to be able to do something more for His glory today. I want to read to you from the book of Matthew, chapter number 6, and verse number 19. Well, verse 19, 20, and 21, really. And you all know that Matthew chapter 5 through Matthew chapter 7 is the Sermon on the Mount. And Jesus gives us some wonderful, wonderful teaching. And especially this one that I'm going to read here today, because we all get caught up in worrying about all of our material possessions. Jesus says to us in Matthew chapter 6 and verse number 19, "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal." How many of us, and I'm included in that boat, worry so much about what we've got saved, what we've got invested, all of that kind of stuff. It's fine to have that, and, we need to have a plan for the future and all that good stuff. I get it. But let's think about something. At the end of the day, in the twinkling of an eye, all of that could be gone. And Jesus reminds us here, don't be so worried about what treasures you lay up here on earth, because they're not going to be that safe. Y'all have heard me say this before. I've never seen a hearse towing a U-Haul trailer with a Wells Fargo truck behind it. Anything we gather here on earth is temporary. And Jesus says, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But, verse number 20, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. Christian, aren't you thankful for the fact that the treasures that we lay up in heaven, no one can steal? And you say to yourself, well, how do I build up treasures in heaven? Well, you first do it by your faith in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And then you continue to do it as you live your life according to what He commands. You remember I've said many times that people get very, very confused, and they think that good works will get them into heaven. Good works will get you nowhere. Only salvation through Jesus Christ gets you to heaven. But it's the works that you do based on that salvation. Loving one another, doing good for one another, preaching the gospel. All of those things, they lay up our treasures in heaven, where Jesus says right here, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. So Jesus reminds us, don't worry about whatever you save up for yourself here, because it's temporary. Focus more on laying up those treasures in heaven. How do we do that? By doing His will. Because that's what we're saved for, Christian. You're saved today. You are not saved just to, as I've said many times, put a trophy on your shelf so you can show people, look what I got. No, you're saved so you can be Jesus to the world. And that's how you lay up those treasures in heaven. But then Jesus caps it off in verse 21. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So the question is, where is your treasure? Where is your treasure? Is it in temporary things that will ultimately fade away? Or is it in eternal things that never fade away? That's something to ponder as we go about this Monday morning. And I hope and pray you have a wonderful, wonderful Monday. Love you, folks, and I'll talk to you a little bit later. God bless you.